Hi guys, how's it going? Today I'll be teaching you the game of Texas Hold'em, or commonly known as poker. Now, in the game of poker, there's a dealer. They deal out the deck in order from left to right, or clockwise. Each player gets dealt 2 cards, one at a time. So I'll deal out to the table now. Now, once I'm done dealing, betting starts with the person under the gun. Now, that would be the third person from your left. Seems like a pretty random number, right? Well, there are these things we call blinds. There's the big blind and the small blind. The small blind is directly to the left of the dealer. So if we were just playing for 10, 20-cent blinds, the small blind would be 10 cents. The big blind would be 20. So what that big blind is saying that every player who chooses to play the hand has to bet at least 20 cents to play. That's just to ensure that there's betting going on and all the players are thinking about the hands they'd like to play. So, considering saying everyone plays for just the 20-cent hand, which is kind of rare because typically some players will have very good hands, they'd want to raise it. Now, the dealer, once everyone's in, will do what's called burning a card. So they put one card face down, where no one at the table can see it, nobody got to look at it, nothing. And then they will put 3 cards face up in the center of the table. These are what are called the community cards. These cards are available for all players to use, as you remember, use your top 5 cards when you're playing the game. So, you look at your cards in this situation. Me having a 2 and a floor. That's not a great hand anyway to play with. You probably would want to fold that, but I chose to play for the sake of the argument. The flop is now a king, a 3, and a jack. At this point, I would want to do what's called folding. So all I do, instead of betting any more money, is put the cards away. Nobody got to look at them. I didn't tell anyone what I had. Because poker's a game where you want to keep a very stoic expression and not let other people know what's going on through your head. So, just to help explain this, I'll look at the next person's cards. So they have 2 jacks, which gives them 3 of a kind, which is a pretty good hand on the poker rating. Now, hands can vary from anything. There's 10 different hands you can get to deserve a ranking. In order from best to worst, it goes royal flush, which would be ace through 10 of the same suit. This is very rare to get. I've played a lot of poker and I've seen it happen once in my lifetime. Next is a straight flush. So that would be the same suit, any number, anything lower than 10. Well, they could be included, but it's not the highest ranking. So it could be 7, 8, 9, 10, jack. That would be a straight flush if they were all of diamonds. It's a very good hand, and I've almost never heard of anyone losing when they have that. Next up would be 4 of a kind. If you have 4 of a kind, that means you have 4 of the same cards in the deck. So, say you got dealt pocket jacks or 2 jack cards, and 2 jack cards came out in the community cards, you would have 4 of a kind. That would be the nuts, which is considered the most unbeatable hand from being what's dealt. So, typically on those hands, you'd want to bet, try to goad your opponents into betting as well, earn your money. So everyone checks around and say who's still playing, and then it's dealt. 5. So, for the sake of the argument, say someone has my 3-pair beat. What else could be out here? With the king and the jack, someone could be playing an ace 10. Ace 10 would be giving them a run at what's called a straight. Straight's a good ranking hand, but it does come after the ones I mentioned previously. Because after the 4 of a kind comes what's called a full house. So, say I had pocket jacks and there's a jack out here. Say 2 5s came out on the community pot. I would have a full house. Because it gives you a set of 3s and a pair. To equal your 5 cards, all relate in some way. So, after a full house comes a flush. Flush is just 5 cards of the same suit. Doesn't have to be in any order, it just has to be of the same suit, including your community cards you can use. Now, if you have a flush, but say there's 4 clubs showing in the community pot and you have the 6, you maybe would like to watch around the table and see how other people are betting, because the higher card on a flush does win. So you have to play it carefully. Make sure you're not putting yourself out there to lose because someone has something better. Now, after a flush comes a straight. This is just 5 cards of any suit in a row. So say you had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's a pretty good hand. It's pretty tough to beat normally, unless somebody else has similar cards and can take you off a higher straight. Those are always unfortunate and never fun to lose. So after a straight comes 3 of a kind, which is what I had earlier with my 2 jacks as I was explaining. So very good hand. You typically don't lose on that. It depends on the flop and you kind of have to read around the room. Watch your opponent's faces and see for any gestures they might make when they're thinking through their decisions consistently throughout the night. After three of a kind becomes two pair. Say I was dealt Jack 7 and a Jack 7 are on the flop. I've got a good hand. It's two pair. I should probably bet it and try to weed out the people with weaker hands that could come back to beat you once they get to see more cards. After two pair comes just high pair. Say there's an ace out there, you have an ace. You've got the highest pair. You just have to hope somebody doesn't have any of the previous hands I've explained to you. After that, just comes high card. That means you don't have anything out there and you're just betting on your king high. Typically not a smart bet, but it could win. Now, something I haven't mentioned is bluffing. Say you don't have any of these, but you want to try to win your money. You might act as though you have it and push a lot of money to scare them away and make them really think what you have. And sometimes it works and gets them to fold out. All right. So, like I've said, I've taught you the rankings, I've showed you how to play, I've told you how to bluff and how to use it wisely. Hopefully you guys learned something, and hopefully we can play sometime in the future.